You're on mute.
Do you know, I had one job. I'm so sorry. Vicky, thank you ever so much. So I think really, I mean, some wonderful examples of the challenges. I think mine very much fall in line with David's. I think it's time. Time has been the biggest challenge for us when we're I suppose we're a relatively young company at sort of coming up to 6 years old. And when the business was first set up, there were three of us, three company directors. We had a few roles to recruit for. And part of the joy and the love of doing what we did is that there was a minimal amount of recruiting. It was more about engaging with organizations and supporting them with charitable events. So if there was a charity that was kind of close to their heart that really resonated with them, I guess our shameful BD strategy was to say, well, let's get on board and let's help and support you. So we would host fun days, fun runs, world record rowing events. If it was running a marathon in an outrageous costume, we were there. That's kind of what we lived for, and it was fantastic. And time then became the constraint. You start to have kind of little ones and the business grows, and all of a sudden you're responsible for a team of people who you love and you want to protect, and as a result you feel responsible for their families, for their financial security, their mortgages, and their way of life. And that's incredibly important. And I think we noticed that perhaps over the last maybe sort of 18 months in the run up to COVID, that actually we lost a little bit of our steer in terms of what we wanted to do. We wanted to do so much and we just ran out of time to do it. We were very much focused on the business. It is terrible, I think, to sort of look at any advantage that will come out of a global pandemic. But one thing that it gave us was time. Every organization, all of our clients said, look, when COVID hit, we're putting our recruitment on freeze, which is so understandable. If you've got organizations that are putting teams out on furlough or, bless them, making redundancies, they're not really going to be engaging with a recruitment agency, an expensive luxury to bring in new talent into the team. So it really gave us an opportunity to hit the reset button, to kind of look at what we were, what we stood for, what the blueprint was. And there was a very famous poster during the First World War. And there's a picture of a gentleman, and he sat in an armchair with a pipe, and his young son is kind of playing with some model aeroplanes on the floor. And the caption is, "Daddy, what did you do during the Great War?" And it really resonated with me to think, I wonder if this is it. I wonder if this is the opportunity where our children will look at us and say, what is it that you did? What was the legacy? What did you try to do differently? And it really kind of set my heart racing. And I had a great chat with Paul and Patrick, other two car directors in the business. And I said, guys, we've got to do something special, and we've got to do something now. Of course, we work in recruitment. So the first thing we did was to contact virtually every UK registered charity to say, if you need to bring new staff into your team and you need agency eyes on and you don't have the budget, we're there for you and we'll do everything for free. So over the period of about 4 or 5 months, that's what we did, and it was absolutely wonderful. And those long-standing relationships, I think, will be there for forevermore, which is really special. But it also gave us the opportunity to then think, well, actually, if you are a staff member within a charity and you've been put on furlough, and perhaps confidence might slip a little bit because you're not able to kind of keep up your skills, we had access. We already paid for an upskilling portal. We said to all of those organizations, look, it's yours and it's yours for free. We'll provide all the logins. There's no charge. If your team need to kind of continue their skill development for any registered charity, it's there for you anytime you need it. And that was really lovely. And I think off the back of that, that then gave us confidence, Vicky, because you are the cause of so many wonderful problems for us. Thank you so much for everything that you do and for Rich. It gave us an opportunity to be strategic, to really sort of audit the work that we were doing around philanthropy and community and environment and workplace, and really sort of structure that appropriately. Off the back of that, we wanted to really give back through our everyday activities. We were the company, like so many others, that wanted to present a check for a few hundred or a few £1,000s to your local hospice because it makes you feel fabulous. Your team are engaged and it's a wonderful feeling. We knew that pennies were going to be tight, but we didn't want to stop doing what we wanted to do. So we got in contact with a wonderful organization called B1G1, Vicky, who you very kindly introduced us to. And they're an amazing B Corp global giving movement that support a range of fantastic international charities with the great work that they do. Karen's wonderful Buddy Bag Foundation Foundation being one of those supported charities. And it gave us an opportunity to really kind of link in the work that we were doing into the UN Sustainable Development Goals. It was very much a new area for us. And of course, our knowledge has increased dramatically over the last year, but it meant as a result that for every candidate that we placed, we would offset their carbon footprint and we would plant trees in their honor. But we would also make a percentage donation to B1G1. We would pick out 5 projects that lined in beautifully with perhaps 3 or 4 UN Sustainable Development Goals that resonated particularly strongly with that given client. So it was particularly pertinent to them. I guess the beauty of that was that we were able to create an impact certificate to show the great good that we were doing in partnership. So there was a sort of a corporate strength behind it. But also, we were able to sort of give stakeholders for clients confidence that they are engaging with a recruitment partner who was ethical, transparent, whose values very much align with their own. And I think recruitment agencies are generally held in high esteem with sort of used car salesmen and kind of double glazing salesmen as well. So the bar was set pretty low. But that was really exciting. And I think the work that we've been able to do with them has been brilliant. We talk about impacts a lot and how we can sort of achieve those. And obviously over the course of the last 5 months, we've been able to create over 250,000 impacts through B1G1, hoping to hit that million impact marker by close of play 2021, which is really special. A couple of extra little bits, and I promise I'll stop talking. We actually then launched a podcast, very new to us, absolutely terrifying. I talked the hind legs off a donkey, so that was probably never going to be a good move. But we created a podcast called The Ethical Recruiter. Exciting because we never really talk about recruitment on it. Recruitment's not the most exciting topic, but it was a wonderful opportunity to create a platform for inspiring storytellers to share their story. And a lot of the guests that we've had on board have been charity leaders. Karen, again, was one of our fantastic podcast speakers a couple of weeks ago. And having the opportunity to celebrate extraordinary people and the great work that they do throughout the charity sector is incredible and something that should be really treasured. So that was really great. And off the back of our ability to kind of hit that reset button, we created CSR huddles at work. So we're only little, just a small team of 10, but we've always been flexible and agile. And we thought there's probably very little point in trying to sort of introduce these initiatives and thinking, well, it sits with the senior leadership team and no one else is really involved. We love our team. We wanted everybody to feel empowered and to sort of grab it by the scruff of the neck and think, well, do you know what? Actually, I've got some great ideas and I'd love to bring that to the fore, which is wonderful. So it means every hour from 9:30 till 10:30 on a Friday morning, we have a Zoom call with our team. We'll have an inspiring guest speaker who will come on and talk about the great work that they do. Or it could well be that one of our team are madly in love with a particular charitable project and they want to talk about why at Ellis Knight International we should be forming a strategic partnership with this organization to support the great work that they do. Strategic partnerships are very, very important. Karen made a wonderful point about how charities can support businesses. We're very proud to be Buddy Bag ambassadors into 2021 to support the great work that they do. And I have to tie it all back to CSRA and their ability to give us structure, to give us purpose, to say, look, this is what you're doing well. Very importantly, this is what you guys are struggling on, but we're here to hold your hand and to support you. So that really has, given us shape and given us purpose and drive. So from challenges comes success, and that's always a wonderful place to begin the journey, I think.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, Dave. That's very insightful, and it's quite interesting how you talked about the lack of time and how COVID gave some of that back. It's certainly been an interesting year and very different. So I'm glad to see you had that time to plan and focus and look at the strategy around your CSR work and how you were pulling it all together. Because whilst you were doing amazing things before, you've now got that framework. So actually that means you can now benchmark, which means you can now do more and more, and then, go on and be more successful. So it's really exciting. And bringing your team in at every level, I think is really important to involve everybody within the business and those stakeholders as well, to sort of say, why don't you get involved? Take some ownership of this, be part of our success. which I think is brilliant. I think everybody's stories are amazing, and we're all doing wonderful things, which is great. Which hopefully now gives us some time to perhaps take some questions. Jennifer, do you have some questions for us? If you're there.
Can you hear me?
Just about.
Can you hear me?
Quite quiet.
Okay, two great questions, which I'll ask together from Peter Tebbett. COVID is a massive and important issue, but has COVID taken up a disproportionate amount of philanthropy support in the last 18 months? What are the panelists' view on what is the right balance going forward, the right balance between COVID and other philanthropy, if you like? The second question is, what one thing do you think the government can do more to encourage philanthropy?
Interesting. Well, I'm going to ask Henry if you can talk to us a little bit about the COVID effect, and whether you think that there's been disproportionate support. So obviously we touched on that earlier, but perhaps you could answer the question more specifically for us. And you're on mute, Henry.
Brilliant. Thanks, Vicky, and thank you for the question, Peter. So I think that it's interesting, isn't it? The response to COVID has been a massive reactive exercise. So it is not what I would consider to be proper philanthropy in many ways. But interestingly, the issues that are emerging from COVID were all there already in many respects. You know, mental health issues, digital accessibility, isolation of elderly people. You know, all of these types of things, and many more, obviously, all of those things were there. The philanthropic response, I think, in the next 3, 5, 10 years is going to be all about those issues, and recovery and rebuilding in a way of the society, in a way that is very positive. And that's where the philanthropic efforts, I think, should be focused, and less on the pragmatic, operational, logistical challenges of COVID, which we've all focused our energies on and where a lot of money's gone. So I probably tend to agree with what I think is the theme of your question, which is, you know, do we need to move on from COVID and start focusing some of the issues? And I would say absolutely we do. It's obviously we're in a bit of a grey, challenging area at the moment, in between. You know, we're still in lockdown, and we're you know, vaccine rollout still happening. As that world starts to reopen, we need to, I think, focus on the real systemic challenges that have resulted from COVID. You know, some of these really deeply rooted problems that have been really exacerbated and made worse. And that's where our energies need to go now.
Thanks, Henry. That's really interesting. David Hall, can I ask you about that a second question? So what one thing do you think the government could or business can do to encourage more philanthropy as we move out of COVID?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think essentially what's happened is I think people have had to take their own initiative, really. You hear what Dave's done, you know, and all the other organisations in terms of reacting extremely quickly to the situation, and actually, you know, looking at things in a different way, in an innovative way to overcome adversity. You know, here at Cloudy, we run an annual event called the App Apprentice, that we go into schools and challenge young people to create apps for mobile phones as part of an apprentice style task. And we had one of our biggest events ever planned, which obviously was not going to stop because of COVID. But you know what? We didn't just say, no, that's it, and we're not going to do it again. We actually took the event online, and we worked with students online virtually. And actually, you know what? That was better. It worked better. But we wouldn't have really thought about doing that if it wasn't for COVID. And I think the government does a great job. Clearly got a lot on their plates at the moment with what's going on, but some of the stuff they have done, I do agree with, in terms of, you know, the creation of the skills hubs, the careers and enterprise company, you know, a great way to bring organizations together, get them discussing. And, you know, that's how we started all the work we did in the community, because of a chance conversation with an enterprise coordinator at an event saying, what can you do in the community, Dave? Well, actually, we're a technology company. That's our skills. We've got good relationships with other vendors, Microsoft. You know, we can bring them into the events we organise and use our network. So, you know, and then talking about what Henry mentioned about, you know, sort of seeing problems and charity, look at the more long-term solution. You know, we always wanted to form a charity. We knew there was a thing about encouraging young people into the world of work and giving them access to new skills and technology. COVID's obviously accelerated that, but during COVID, we formed a charity. We got a CSR accreditation as well as running a business and paying the staff and looking after them. So, I think. We're all challenged, and society as a whole has just responded so well under some really adverse circumstances, and we should still be really proud of what we've achieved and what's happened despite the horrible loss of life and situations of individuals who are less fortunate. So yeah, I think we've done a great job. I think the government's done as well as they could do. No one's perfect, and we just got to work together, haven't we? So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what it comes down to, isn't it? It's about all pitching in together and making amazing things happen. Jennifer, did you say you had another question?
Yeah, a couple more good ones. Alice Fairbank from the Samaritans. Hi, it would be great to hear from the speakers how best they think to start having these conversations with companies and stakeholders. Is it a casual email, or is it a more formal application, for example? That's one from Alice, and then two specifically for Karen. Claire Rhodes would like to know more about the certificates that you mentioned, and also another one for Karen. Love the idea of operating from the principle as a charity, of offering a service to businesses by their supporting us. But how do you convince them of this, Karen?
Shall I answer the first one with regard to CSR accreditation? Yeah, we were fortunate to be connected with CSR accreditation. Prior to this, we were always recognising our supporters by having Company of the Month or Supporter of the Month. But by coming accredited with CSR, it gave us that added benefit of being able to award our supporters an associate badge and certificates. So basically, we've got a lovely letter that we send them together with the associate badge, and recently we've just had the certificates. And the beauty of this is that they really feel humbled that they've received such an award. And of course, the first thing they do is share it with everybody they know on social media. So, it's a double whammy, really. It benefits them and it benefits us as a charity. And secondly, the whole principle of working with businesses was a philosophy that we had from day one. I think it sort of stems from givers gain, and what goes around comes around. So we had a product that we could offer corporates, and that was our team building event, where they didn't have to donate money. They could just, although we do love the money obviously, but they donated their time, and in exchange for their time, which I always say is our most precious asset, they were able to volunteer and physically get involved in packing our buddy bags. And I think the challenge a lot of charities have is that they don't have anything tangible that they can offer corporates when they're building that relationship with them. So I would always say try and find something tangible that you can offer. We also do a lot of networking, and one of the other questions is how do you engage with businesses? I think businesses and charities, they want to do business with people that they know, like and trust. So it's getting out there in the community. I'm a huge advocate of networking. That allows you to build up that relationship. So even if you're a new charity, it still enables you to build those connections with people. And we're actually launching our first charity networking group in March, which is about connecting with people. It's about educating. So our focus is going to be educating them on how CSR and social responsibility is so important in the workplace. And we're linking that to contribution so that they have the opportunity to become one of our budding connection members. And yeah, we're really excited about this. So, you know, we come from a place as a charity that we're not just taking from everybody. You know, we try and give back as much as we possibly can. And I think that's been, you know, one of the keys to our success.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant, Karen. And I think that sort of answers the other question about how do you start a conversation. I think it's very much around putting your product offering together, knowing what you're asking for, networking, getting yourself known, talking to people. They get to know you, they get to like and trust you. And I think that's how you do any type of business, really. At the end of the day, it's about people working with people, and bringing that sort of collaboration around. And charities are no different. You know, charities work in a similar way to businesses, but obviously they have different outcomes. So I'd just like to thank everybody. I think it's been a very dynamic session, and really interesting actually to hear from all the different aspects of what have been happening. So I'm going to hand back to Richard now, who will probably end this session and finish off. Don't think there were any more final questions, but if there are, I'm sure Richard will tell me. You're on mute, Richard. Still on mute. It's the joys of technology.
No, thank you about that. So, yeah, we'll never learn, will we? It's gone into the dictionary, hasn't it? I think, or the phrase of the year. You know, you're on mute. Thank you, Hannah and David and Dave and Henry and Karen and Vicky for participating today. It's been a really enlightening session, and we've covered a lot of ground in just such a short space of time. Thank you, Henry, specifically for your definition and clarity around philanthropy. I think that's great to highlight that. And you know, and I think it was really interesting listening to the others talking about, you know, both Dave and David, you know, focusing on that need to build capacity that allows a business to deliver impactful, you know, social responsibility when supporting charities in a way that's going to have a benefit. We talk, you know, through training we do, we often talk about, you know, first of all, building capacity within an organisation to deliver meaningful social responsibility, and also identifying the individuals within an organisation that will help drive that forward, who are supported by the senior management team from the top down. It's been a current theme through today, really, this idea around impact, engagement, capacity, and enabling as well, social responsibility to be delivered. We do say you know, more and more often that the future shape of business will be measured in both social and financial value, and organisations that are not able to deliver that social value will struggle to stay in business. I think the thing is, social responsibility represents that long-term sustainability and profitability for organisations. And you know, as Karen mentioned, that relationship between the value, that value runs both ways, you know, between charities and between organisations that support charities. So there is, you know, there is value in terms of staff engagement, and Hannah talking really about that kind of that global collectiveness as well. The idea that, you know, we talk a lot about what's happening in the UK, but the fact that there's this international appetite towards improved engagement with regards to social responsibility across all 4 pillars, but specifically when it comes to charitable endeavours as well. So thank you all, and it's been an amazing day for us to celebrate CSR World CSR Day. We do have, if you're interested, we have on our resources page at www.csraccreditation.co.uk a roadmap, interactive roadmap that organisations can use to see where they are on their CSR journey, and it kind of helps them plan where they've come from, look at what they're doing and where they're going. I'd like to mention also, I've touched on that idea of social responsibility enablers. Who's going to be an enabler in your organisation? We do run a 6-module training course, online training course. The next one starts on the 6th of March. You can book your place. It's endorsed by the Institute of Administrative Management, and you know, it can be delivered. Oh, sorry, 4th of March, sorry. oh, sorry, we got the 6th of March on my slide. So there's misinformation already. 4th of March, correction. And also, it would be remiss of me to say, not to mention the accreditation. If you're an organisation that is looking to start your CSR journey, the accreditation provides a lovely platform for you to look at the things that you are doing in the environment pillar, in the philanthropy pillar, in the community pillar, and the workplace pillar. It's a great way to pull together what you are doing and see it for the first time, and then allow an independent organisation to assess it and set you on your journey in the coming years. So that's just about it for me. Thank you all again for participating today. Thank you the audience for staying here and listening to everybody. We will post a post-event email out with some of the highlights, and I will try and put together an edited kind of video of some of the highlights of today's sessions as well. So thank you very much, goodbye, and have a fantastic weekend.